Thank you for coming along. My name is Darryl Hibbert. If you haven't met me already, I'm one of the current directors of the Bristol Cable and one of the people that have been working on this initiative over the last few months. We're here tonight basically to talk about, it's a further continuation of a conversation that started just before Christmas around diversity in the media. I'm sure that anybody here who works within the media, as most of you do, or who has an interest in media and lives in Bristol, clearly knows the problem that we have. Now, we've come along to explore solutions rather than focus on problems. We've got a couple of speakers here today, Sean and Miranda, who are going to come and talk about the solutions that they kind of have been involved in and some of the initiatives they've been involved in. And to start off with, we've got Miranda, presenter from Soul Train and also the founder of Sound Women Southwest.
Right, okay. I mean, if I could stand here tonight and say that I knew all the solutions, we wouldn't need to be here, do we? I mean, I guess all I can talk about is my experience. I was the first full-time female radio presenter in the country, and I was lecturing to some students recently, and I said, when do you think the first full-time female radio presenter was in the UK? And they were going from 1950s, 1960s, and well, no, actually, it was only in the early 90s. And the shock that they it was palpable in the room to think that there wasn't a full-time female radio presenter in the country. I've got no qualifications, I haven't been to university, and I've just been given real grassroots opportunities which I've grabbed, and that for me is what it's all about, and skill sharing now. And when I got given my first gig on the radio as a woman, it felt like tokenism, it really did. Femme FM had just happened. Radio 1 didn't have any female presenters except for Janice Long, Ranting Miss, Manking Miss P, Annie Nightingale, one show once a week. So for me it was a bit like, they don't actually think I'm any good, but I've got this great opportunity, so I grabbed it, ran with it. So anyway, so I took time out, and I after 10 years or 8 years of being off the scene, I was no longer the sort of trendy underground radio presenter, and I was like, what am I going to do now? I'm a fat 40-year-old woman. Where do I fit in now to the media? And I didn't, and I couldn't find a place. And then I was introduced to Sound Women, which is a national organisation. Well, it's closed down now, but it had been going for about 7 or 8 years. It's about 2,000 members across the country that support and celebrate women in media. And the training opportunities that they give people and the mentoring schemes is how I got my next break. And they gave me an opportunity to apply for the mentoring scheme and get a mentor, a big sort of industry leader will take you under their wing for 6 months to a year. And that was a fantastic opportunity for me and gave me my sort of next opening into the media, and very quickly got a series on Radio 4, and 2 years ago they closed down. But before they did, they'd asked me if I would like to take on a regional branch of Sound Women. So for the last 2 years, that's what I've been doing. Marvin Rees did an article recently in The Guardian entitled Snowy Peaks, because there are no black people in positions of power within the media. And until that changes, nothing's going to change. People, I get a bit passionate now, but people will only employ people who are like them. And as long as we've still got white middle-class men in suits running the industry, then we've got problems. I promoted this article that Marvin Rees did in The Guardian on social media, and I got a phone call from the BBC, and I was told if I ever spoke about racism at the BBC in public ever again, I would never work there again. So on that positive note, I'll hand it over to Sean. Thank you.
It's events like this I get more nervous at because it's more close to me, you know what I mean? It's like more passionate. It's the reason I got into media and creativity in the first place. I mean, by rights I'm not really meant to be here. I left school 5th year, as it was back then, 4 really bad GCSEs. They didn't even tell me there was a 6th form, they just sort of ushered you out the door. I ended up going to university at 23, and now I'm a doctor and associate professor, and it's not really how it was written in the stars for me to be in that place. It's just making the most of an opportunity, saying yes, and then figuring out how to do it afterwards. I studied in Newport, I did filmmaking, and I started to work in Bristol, and I moved to Bristol in 96 when I graduated, but I started working there in 1995, and I started working with a company called Black Pyramid Films, based in Coomber, in St Paul's, and for me that was definitely a homecoming. That was when I realised there was other black people that did this thing called filmmaking and photography, script writing, animation, it just opened a whole world to me. When anyone says to me or asks me at the end of a degree show or end of the academic year, what's your favourite bit of work? For me, the favourite bit of work is always a student that's travelled more distance. In the first year, they might have been less confident, and then you see them grow. It's not really the student that comes in knowing it all. Do you know what I mean? It's a student that's come in unconfident and has grown in confidence over time. Because I know that was me at one time, do you know what I mean? And I've seen other people that I work with. General advice about getting in media and diversity is a lot of advice that you would hear generally anyway, but when we're hearing it, we're not really relating it to us. We're hearing people say, be confident or work hard, but then we're thinking, yeah, but it's all right, they work hard, I still won't get in. But actually, no, own it. Own all these things. You can do it. Do you know what I mean? It's just about having that sense of, if they're going to say no, then it's their loss. But I'm going to go again, I'm going to go again, I'm going to go again. Because at the end of the day, it's your story and your narrative you're building. So it's not letting anyone else distract you and knock you off the path. So just stay focused.
People were interested in looking at sort of where to go and what forums there were in the city. We identified that we need to look at building bridges, using social media, using mentors, using other people to introduce you to various people, because you have to be proactive about introducing to yourself. We also talked about the need to not build bridges, to sell yourself, using networking as a two-way street, remembering that the person that you're trying to connect with is just going to get as much out of the relationship as you are. Identifying common goals and looking at the idea of creating a networking group, which, if anybody is interested in finding out if they weren't in our group, please do come and talk to me afterwards. What we'd like to do is to move forward. We've got a great group of people in the room. I know there's quite a few others who couldn't make it tonight that want to come along. So what I'm proposing that is we set up a networking group to meet up regularly, to look at collaborations, to maybe showcase people's work out there, because I know there's some great filmmakers in here, great photographers, and just kind of find out what other people are doing and get involved.